this. I don't know. We'll see what that happens there. And then over here, I'm going to click this live on Facebook. That's not gonna work, is it? Yes, it is. So let's see. Morning Glory. Saturday. 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 All right, so I'm going to click go live on there. And it looks like I may be live already on YouTube. Yesterday I was, as you can see, I got books piled up here. I was looking for and yesterday I was, as you can see, I got books piled up here. I was preparing for, I am preparing for to teach a class, to do a class. I hope that you are going to join me in this class that I'm setting up. And so get all that stuff out of the way so I can come present with you. So, yeah, it's my hope that you'll join me for that particular class. And I am working to get that all scripted out. That's what that's what is required. And so, good morning, Michael. How are you today? You're the first one in, huh? Excellent. Well, happy Saturday to you. I wonder what sometimes I wonder what people are doing when they're watching me. Like, are you sitting up with a cup of coffee in your hand or laying in bed or, yes, you are blessed or what's the scenario? Because I often wonder, like, what I would be doing if I wasn't doing this. This morning, it hit me that I might need to, coffee. Yep. This morning it hit me that I might need to, at some point, suspend my Saturday thing sharing. I know at least the second Saturday because I've got some things planned. So I was thinking about how I can maneuver and, get, because I want to take a class. I want to take somebody else's class. And it will be the second Saturdays. And so just trying to figure that out too. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm always excited for what the year might bring. That reminded me of the storm, the gifts the storm may bring. This morning, I will tell you, you know how I love to daily. Wait a minute, I gotta put on my glasses because I could see daily something, and I just need to clean these off. I'm putting on my different glasses. These the other glasses that I got. So it is sort of like me trying to figure out all the new things that I want to incorporate this year. My plan, I'm in the process of editing this book, and I would really love to have it out soon. And I got stuff coming up. It just is, to me, it's yummy. It's yummy, it's delicious, it's exciting. And it's almost like, I don't know, sometimes you feel like you're in a vice grip because you're supposed to, we all have things that we know we're supposed to do. I often talk about what happened for me back when I was young, like in my 20s. And are these glasses, they look huge on here, but whatever. And I know that that's not the thing that most people will look at. But in my 20s, I had this headache that I used to get when I was working at this one particular job. The job was, one that I had worked all through high school and everything else, and it was just time to go. And I remember getting these excruciating headaches that just would not go away. And so I know that there is a time at which all of us get this prompting to move on, get on with it already. And so for me, this year, you know what, I'm going to clean my other glasses because these are distracting me at the moment. So this year I decided that I got to get on with it. I've been working on this book now for a while, and Spirit is telling me shit or get off the pot, so to speak. And so I've got to get that done so that I can move into the other arenas where I am supposed to be. And so that is my endeavor. And this is the first of just a few books that I know that I want to get out and get published, but also the classes that I want to do. I'm going to switch out my glasses, y'all. So don't be traumatized by it. That is, you know what? It's funny because these bigger glasses are actually more comfortable on my face. But I'm still not used to looking at myself in them. So, I switch back and forth. So anyway, so that's kind of like the back and forth that I'm going with is that I know that I'm supposed to get on with it. And for those of you who have, or even if you have not thought about how 2023 is different from before, you need to, figure out, because everything is about forward progression, forward motion, up until it is no more. And so when we don't expect to grow or to morph into something, if we don't have this anticipation that our life is somehow going to change, and it's not the demarcation of the years. Sometimes it is. In my phone, I have broken down, my girlfriend Crystal, that is no longer here, used to always talk about these, this way that our year is divided into 7 parts. And each part has its own idea or its own thing. So if I talked about a year in a span, the first couple of months might be in this creative or birthing stage. And then the next part might be in the how do I get this and galvanize this into something. So if you think about it like you would almost like you would giving childbirth, right? There is the creative stage, right? There's the bang. If you want to think about it that way, there's the bang. And then there is this, now all of a sudden things start moving and something is being formed. And then that form turns into a growth, and then that growth. And so, like everything else, even though you don't see the stages are happening. When I plant a seed into the ground and I cover it over with soil, there has to be the seed has to know that there is an intention now placed, and the water will soften the outside shell, and then that'll crack, and then something begins to move. There's a movement that happens. And so if, say for instance, I've been stuck at the completion stage, at the stage where I need to be giving birth to something, that if that's the place that I'm stuck at, can you imagine if you tried to, if what you were doing was trying not to birth something that was supposed to be birthed? There's got to be some pain and discomfort in that. And so before I experience that, I'm already experiencing that. And so sometimes it's like, what Spirit does, the way it works with me, is sometimes it'll walk in and it'll just turn off the faucet. Like, damn it, I told you, right? Just turn the faucet off. And I'm like, no, because I know what it feels like to either be in the flow or out of the flow. I know what that feels like. And so, my thing is let me be consistent. Let me be being used. And so what you see a lot of times is creative people, when they are producing, they get more and more and more creativity to then produce. But if you're not showing up and not doing what it is that you're supposed to do, then sometimes that faucet gets cut off. Or if you are, what do I want to say? If you're editing the whole time. So like, say for instance, if Spirit was to give me something to say and I was like, it sounds better if I say it this way. Oh, I'm trying to think of, in that movie Ghost, with Whoopi Goldberg back in the day. Whoopi Goldberg is playing this, this medium, and she's talking to Demi Moore, and she's supposed to tell Demi Moore what this guy is saying to her, but everything he says to her, she got to translate it so that it sounds different or it sounds better. It's like, it just can't be, the way he said it. It's got to be the way she said it. And so sometimes what we do is instead of giving what we're receiving, we're busy trying to edit and saying, you know what, we don't want to give it to him like that. And, and sometimes it's like, I feel like that granny, Spirit is like that granny that puts her hands on her hips and said, what did I say? What did I say? And so I want to be in alignment with what I've been told, of what I've been instructed to do. Not be like Noah and not Noah, but not Noah. I'm going to go someplace else. Where was he supposed to go? He was supposed to go to Namibia, and he decided, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm doing something else. I don't want to do that. And what happens? The ship started going through this thing. Storm came on. They threw Brother Man overboard. And so, let's avoid all that. Let's just do what we are told, what we're instructed to do. So I got stuff. I know you have stuff, and let's make this stuff happen. Y'all, I need a tan. I need a tan. I was looking at my legs as I got dressed, and I thought to myself, like, oh my gosh, it's like I need a tan. I need a tan. So yeah, I need a tan. It's time. Go someplace tropical. Anyway, that is where I'm at. Oh goodness. So at this point, I would normally be opening up the daily guides to share with you what it is that I've gotten out of the daily guides. But I will tell you, here's what I don't like. I don't like that I am having judgment in the midst of my sharing the daily guides with you guys. That I am struggling. Oh, I said yesterday to not resist, right? I said yesterday to give up your resistance and just come. I was talking about that just yesterday. Trust the process and see what is there for you. And so I'm going to read this one. I was like sitting there thinking to myself, I don't know if I'm going to keep reading these daily guides. Because, to wrestle with an idea is interesting. To do that publicly when this is another thing. I'm going to read this daily guide and because some days it's good and some days it's like, sister girl. So I'm going to read the daily guides because I just talked about this, giving up our resistance. And so here I'm hearing myself. I'm hearing myself like, stop the struggle. But the struggle is real. Okay. And then here's something else. I listened to 2 songs this morning. Y'all know I'll always have a thing every morning as far as my concert, my little devotional period that I do with myself. And this morning I listened to Used to Be by Stevie Wonder. I love that song. And if you haven't heard it or haven't heard it in a while, if you've got one of those devices, type it in, Used to Be. And Stevie Wonder and Charlene, I do believe her name is, did that particular song. So good. So good. And it's so old. And it was one of the more obscure songs. I'll say that it wasn't widely listened to like Songs in the Key of Life or something like that. But Used to Be is so intensely good. And then the other, I listened to Beyonce's Halo, which was, anyway. So I was on a roll yesterday with all of this music and all these songs. And just some of them that just is so soul moving. Just good. All right, so let me do the daily guides, and then I will go on from there because I'm getting the feeling like I need to revisit my little book here. All right, so for today it is living without imaginary limitations. Living without imaginary limitation. And so the first quote that she has here, let me see who it is first. From Eric Butterworth's Discover the Power Within You. I do believe I just pulled that book out of, yep, it is right there on the shelf behind me. I pulled that book out so I could, is part of this class, is, one of those things I want to pull something out of there too. So this quote she uses, watch your thoughts when you are handling money, because your money is attached through your mind to the one source of all substance and all money. So watch your thoughts when you are handling money. If you are making it, I'll let her do this. Let me let her do this without me interjecting every step of the way. Her next quote that she takes is from Ernest Holmes. And from Ernest Holmes in The Art of Life, she uses this quote. Your thoughts are tools that you use in affirming the creative power into your experience. Your thoughts are tools that you use in affirming the creative power into your experience. So here's what she wrote. It is time to let go of any old thoughts of limitation. As long as that is our underlying deep-seated belief, it will run your life. The appearance will always be, I'd better not plan on that trip or new dress or suit because I need the money for something more important or for an emergency. Think back to your youth. What did you hear? Finish your dinner. Think about the starving children in Africa, Namibia, I don't know. Think about starving children, whatever, right? She leaves that blank. What one thing has to do with the other, I have no idea. But nevertheless, I heard this statement many times during my childhood, and perhaps you did as well. Or did you hear, money doesn't grow on trees? Or some other nonsensical phrase. We're grown now. We are able to think for ourselves. We are aware of what others may or may not have or experience. We realize that what our neighbor has does not have in any way, has or does not have in any way limit or influence our own abundance. If there is a limitless amount of good, money, or other commodity, it is up to us to be grateful for what we have and know we are always cared for. There is always enough of every good thing for everyone who is willing and desirous to accept the many gifts of spirit. They will always be filled to the brim and running over. Gratitude is the key, she says. If while giving thanks for what we have and who we are, there is a deep-rooted thought of envy, jealousy, or animosity, we are not being grateful in that present moment. Whether you are an artist, plumber, author, whether you are an artist, plumber, author, electrician, pianist, or a bus driver, be grateful for your gifts and be the very best you know how to be and do. Be who it is you want to be. There is no limitations other than those that we make up. The affirmation that she puts with this is, as I move through this day in freedom, knowing the joy of living without limitations in my life. Amen. Amen. I have no issues with that particular reading. Now, it's really interesting though, because one of the things that we see over and over again, especially on the televisions that we watch, is this idea that somehow you won't be happy unless you have a Lincoln, or you see these Christmas commercials where somebody says, oh, look at what I got you for Christmas. And it's a whole truck or a whole car. And you're looking at it like, who does that, right? As a matter of fact, if they did that all the time, their yard would have been full of cars instead of just acting like, oh, here's come one over the mountain or whatever that the case may be. So they create these things that makes one believe in this, you're not quite enough until you, or unless you, or whatever. And so, like she said, we're all grown. We know better. You know better. And if you're sitting up worrying about what other people are going to think, you are in the wrong head. You need to get back in your own head and think about what you think about, not what other people will think, say, do, all of that other stuff. Be in your own head. Be in your own head, right? And and be happy. Learn how to be grateful, right? All things be grateful. Woo! Woo, 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 woo. That's good. Be grateful for where you are, what you have, all of that good stuff. I tell you, that is such a freeing feeling. All right, so let me. For some reason, I'm hot, which is amazingly good. Because yesterday, I will tell you that I was feeling some kind of way. I was walking around with I want to say I had on a hoodie for parts of the day. And I was like, oh, walking around here cold and just whatever. And so for me to be busting a sweat is an amazing thing. Good morning there. I want to... Mr. Fields, I keep wanting to just call you Larry, and I know it just says LR Fields. I want to verify that your first name is Larry, because I do believe it is, because I want to call you Larry. But I'll say, Mr. Fields, good morning to you. And that is that, what else is there other than positive and uplifting content, right? I got no time for, for all the other stuff. Life is good. Life is good. I would tell you yesterday when I was looking for and pulling books off of my shelf, I had gone back through Lewis. Okay, hey Lewis, thank you for that. And if I forget, blame it on my head, not my heart. But okay, thank you. I'm so glad you told me. So yesterday, as I was going through and I'm pulling books off of my shelf for this class that I'm trying to, I want to develop the entire class from beginning to end to kind of script it out. And so as I was, good morning, Tracy. You know what? Yes, good. Yes, I think the stuff, that's a class too. The class on abundance or money or whatever. So, and I don't normally talk about that very much. Yeah. So anyway, I was as I was pulling the books out off of the shelf yesterday, I went on to some stuff that I did way back in 2017, I think. Look at me talking about way back in 2017. I got stuff that's, so old. I've been talking for a long time. As a matter of fact, I had, I had cassette tapes of when I used to do the radio show. I used to have tons of those cassettes when I used to do the radio show and down at WJMO. Anyway, I stuck a tape in and I began to not stuck a tape in. I clicked on a old video of me and started watching it. And it was so funny because I was thinking to myself like, oh, I was a little more preachy because I was on this ACIM Gather, A Course in Miracles Gather thing doing the shows. And I was a bit more preachy and I actually read out of the Bible and all this other stuff. And I was thinking to myself like, my gosh, I still sound exactly the same. But of course, time and maturity has changed some of my message. And I think that instead of just talking about spirituality like it's over there, I'm now bringing it so that it is closer. And it's closer by me incorporating my stuff, my issues, my things that are there. And so, yeah, so that would be one of those things. Tracy says, yes, please do an abundance class. One of my faves was Tony's on sex and money. Ooh, what did he use A Course in Miracles for that text or some other thing? I would be curious to know what kind of text he used for that or if he made up his own. That is doable. Tracy. Thank you for that recommendation. Let me write that down. Course on sex and money. Well, wait a minute. Because y'all know I got too much sexiness in me to be talking about sex. I'll be curling some of y'all's hair. I said, y'all are... Oh, Lord, let me see about that. I don't know, Tracy, I can't go, I can go there with sex, but that's a deep dive. That is a deep dive. And I don't know if that tickles me just thinking about it. What am I gonna say to y'all? Okay, let me leave that out there. Oh, we have to talk about that. It was the mindset, not sexuality so much. Okay, 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 okay. So I will tell you that. So, and y'all know that I am all about that business, right? The setting yourself free to be who you are. So that's good. But I have felt bamboozled before when people have said, because I did go to a weekend conference one time with the idea of sexuality, sex and spirituality conference. And I paid for the hotel room and everything. And I got there and they wanted to tell me about the things that the Bible said around sexuality and spirituality, and I felt a level of betrayal, I will say, because I walked out of there with this thing of feeling even more uptight about sexuality than when I walked into the place. And so yeah, there was this, like, what was that? Like, I was bamboozled into it. So when I talk about sexuality, yes, it is how do we make peace, and how do we free our minds of some of the darkness that has been given to us around those ideas. So that is an interesting thing to just work on, the mindset. But what I do know is that that type of thing does not happen overnight, especially when it is something that has been, um, like the background of existence for so many of us for so long. So it is a ongoing undoing of what we've learned. It's an ongoing undoing. And so I would love to do something like that, and just talk about it, because I just think that sometimes we have got to look at things and recognize the gifts that is meant for us, right? Not as, you know there's so much, there's so much convolution in that whole idea and that whole concept. And it starts with this thing with Eve in the garden, and this idea that somehow, there is the introduction of sin. And I think that that has been something that, um, yeah, that has been something that has been a problem with our thinking. And one of the things that Reverend Cherie says all the time is that when you see a particular, like, commandment or a scripture or an imperative to do or to act in a particular way, she says, ask yourself why it was necessary to create that type of narrative around an idea. What could have possibly happened, or what could be going on? What's the climate like that creates the need to speak to something? And so this asking the question of things like that is, I think, a really interesting way to approach any type of idea that you may be exploring, even that of sexuality, right? What's the need? Why do we make it so? Why is there such angst around a particular idea? What was it? What's the climate? What was the problem? We know that, from history, we know so much about, oh I that's a yeah, that's a class. Thank you for that idea, Tracy. and maybe we can collaborate on some stuff. Once they get out of the free your mind and your rest shall follow, then we can also then turn the corner into some other juicy notions. I like that idea. Okay, so I opened up this book here, and as I was talking, and I just opened up to a page because that's one of the things I like to do is just open up and let this speak to me. And so what I did just now is I opened it up and I just laid it here. And as I looked down, this opened onto the page called The Wheel of Fortune. And many of us have watched The Wheel of Fortune on television. My eye is itching. Many of us have watched The Wheel of Fortune on television. And what we see is that somebody will spin the wheel and it will land on a particular number. Now, I remember thinking that my life was a lot like that roulette wheel at the time. Like I never okay, so when I thought about the roulette wheel, it is this idea that there is a spin and there's this ticking sound as it spins, and there's a ball that goes out, and that ball will bounce around and bounce around and bounce around until it starts to slow down. And then once it slows down, it'll then maybe kind of fall into on a number or this number or that number. It'll just kind of like do this bouncing until it runs out of the momentum to bounce anymore and land on a particular number. Now it's interesting because what I've always felt like in my life experience is that blessings have been kind of like that. Like God will throw out an idea, and the idea is out there in the ether, and any one of us could be holding that number, that magical number, whatever it is. And so when it finally just kind of bounces onto us, the question is now, what do we do with that? What do we do with it once it bounces on to our number? And for me, it's kind of like also what happens in a football game. There is a ball that is thrown, and somebody catches it, right? It could be the intended person, or it could be an interception. But the ball is thrown, it's released into the air. Who's going to jump up and snatch that out of the air? One. And then who is going to run it to where it needs to be to make the win happen? The ball may fall on your number, but if it falls on your number, just to fall in on your number is not enough. You had to have something on that number, right? You can't just say, oh, I'm not 9 is my number, if you did not actually bet on it, right? If you didn't take an actionable step on it, then it's just another number. It could be your number all day long, but there is some action required. And so when I'm thinking about the ideas that come to me, ideas can come to me all day long. I write them down. I got pieces of paper everywhere with ideas that I've written down, notes that I've taken, and what happens with them is the question. If you don't do anything with the stuff that you're given, it falls flat. As a matter of fact, it may fall flat in your arena, but somebody else intercepts that. And then we sit there talking about, oh, she took my idea. I was going to do that. Oh, I had that invention first, or I had that idea. It's always about this thing sometimes of us making excuses for the opportunities that we failed to execute on. And so for me, I can sit there and I can talk about this book that I've written all day long, but until I publish it, these are still just ideas that are out there in the ether that are waiting. And some of them I've already given birth to. Some of them I've already talked about here, spilled here, whatever that may mean. And this is just opening it up to a different arena, a different audience, in a different format or a different way. But it is this idea that unless you do something with it, it bounces. It'll say, oh, I got to go to the next person, because what we know is that when God puts something out there into the universe, it's not just like, oops, there it is. It means that there is an execution upon an idea that needs to take place. And if you are not doing it, then the next person in line is going to get that. And then when you sitting up talking about, that was my, I don't know how many of you have felt that, but that is what happens all the time. We drop the ball, so to speak. Tracy says, I'm working on clearing the way with polarizing, sex topics. Okay. So it's really interesting. Like, say for instance, I got a girlfriend. I got another girlfriend who, ever since I've known her, the idea of sex and sexuality has been something that has just been, I don't want to say the bee's knees. It has been the sweetness. It's like a candy for her. And sometimes she allows herself to eat and to partake as much of that candy as she can. But at other times, it's like, that doesn't necessarily pay the bills. And then she goes and she does other things. Always having this idea out there that she should be the Dr. Ruth, or there's another woman out of California. I want to call her name, but she's always got this idea that she should be working on the fringes or doing something with that. Sometimes she takes a deep dive. Most of the time she is going to do what's practical and what pays the bills. But if the idea is thrown out to her, and then all of a sudden she sees Tracy come up with it, she's like, she might be sitting there saying, oh man, that was always my dream. She stole my idea. She took this, she took that. But no, it is an idea comes into being. Like we talked about this idea when I first started out today, was this birthing something. If you are in the process, or this comes to you and you abort it, by not bringing it to reality and to bringing it into fruition, then the thing is not that somebody else has stole your idea. It's that you didn't execute the idea that was given to you. And Spirit says that this is something that needs to and has to come into fruition. And so let me find the person who is going to make that happen. And so if the only thing that if, say for instance, because, we can talk about this idea of money, but if money is the main motivating factor and people don't see it right away, they will easily give up and say, oh, I can't do this. Not recognizing that. And one of the blessings that I struggle with this too. One of the blessings is do it anyway. Do what you love anyway. Don't wait until you see, somebody give you the job, or somebody give you the title, or somebody tell you, I have ordained you to be such and such. Don't wait for that. Do what it is that you are are compelled to do, the what it is that you desire to do it anyway. And then the money will follow. Don't make it about somebody giving you permission or somebody paying you. I mean, y'all see me sitting here. I don't have nobody hitting me up on the Cash App or on anything. I know that as I move into my calling, into my blessing, then what happens for me is that things happen what serendipitously. I don't know how it is that every month I get what I need. I get exactly what I need to do what needs to be done, so that you see lights on, my internet is on, my electric, I'm warm, I'm okay in my space. I got what I need. All of that is provided for me, sufficient unto this day, and the fullness thereof. And if I'm sitting there just waiting and worrying and thinking about, permission, I don't get what it is that I need to have. I don't, cause I'm looking in other areas. Okay, so he says to me, I'm the Marshall Project Cleveland Outreach Manager. Okay. Primary focus is criminal justice reform when you have time. Yes, Lewis. I would love to have a chat with you. Thank you for putting that in there. And I just note to self, let me call you. Good, Michael. I mean, this is what I think for so many of us keeps us tied or shackled in out of or in certain places, because we're waiting for permission, right? If you're waiting for permission and you only feel like, oh, I can only speak if I got a pulpit. What? Did Jesus have a pulpit, or did he just go up on a mountain or a Mount of Olives, or go stand on a rock or something like that? I mean, you have to start doing what it is that you were called to do. Jesus said to us, I got to be about my Father's business. That's, and what does that mean for you? What does that mean for you? What's in your heart to do, right? And so if you're busy always sitting there, please let me, oh, come on, so for what this wheel, right? This turning, when the ball falls on your number, are you able to execute? I remember telling somebody, and I saw this on a movie years later. Thank you. Where was 2022? Yeah, I know where you were in 2022. This is now a new year. Change has come. Yes. And so here's what I know too. Because I will tell you that y'all, these things just pop into my head. So there was in Frosty the Snowman, there's this song that I always loved, even when I first heard it as a kid. And I think the Abominable Snowman and the little Dennis boy were in there in the thing with Rudolph. And he says, just put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking across the floor. Put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking out the door. And one of the things that we don't realize is that it takes consistent action. You just can't get up and take one step and think that, oh, that's enough. Sometimes people will, like a little baby, fall down. That's why they make them so little and so short, right? Because they fall on their butts a number of times before they finally get to the place where they're walking out the door. And so it takes consistent action over time. Sometimes like prove it that this is what you want. And so it means sometimes that you got to go through the adversity. Sometimes you got to go through the storm. You got to go through struggle and stuff to show that, yes, this is what I'm doing and I'm serious about it. And then keep moving. Keep it moving. So I remember thinking about ideas and how ideas come to us. And I remember thinking that spirit is no respecter of person, and it'll throw out a particular idea. And then who has the audacity to reach up and catch it, right? Who has the audacity to catch the idea as it goes past? And then once you catch it, then do something with it, to be a person who then acts upon it. I have thought up 101 different things. I remember a friend of mine who was, he was used to fancy himself an inventor, and he was always inventing stuff, right? He would, an engineer. He went to college for engineering, but he was always inventing stuff. But the problem with that is that he didn't have, there was a lot of stuff that he didn't he didn't have the momentum behind. And so you can tell him an idea, or he would come up with an idea, and sometimes even put it on paper, sketch it out. I've even seen him develop a prototype around it. But the moment somebody then finds an issue with it or knocks down an idea, he's moving on to something else instead of figuring out what needs to happen in order to make that idea fly or to come into fruition. Could you imagine how many times that man must have failed when he was creating a light bulb? Can you imagine how many times Garrett Morgan might have failed in creating the stoplight? Can you imagine how many times failure happens before a good idea takes form and takes shape, before we have a cell phone that works, whatever it is? I know that detours happen, but detours is not a stop sign. A detour means it's a course correction. You go someplace and you go so far and it doesn't work, you course correct, right? The GPS system does not tell you, you know what, you have messed this up, turn around and go back home. It doesn't say that. It says to you, let's course correct, right? And then you go into a new direction. It does not mean sit down. It doesn't. No, God pops in your head and you do his will. A light. Wait a minute. A light in the world of darkness. He says yes. Okay, so autocorrect. So it is when we stop looking at the obstacles that come up as barriers, because they're not, right? That's why Jesus said, this whole thing, when he started talking about, with faith you can tell a mountain to move and it be moved, right? Well, here's what, when I read that and I sit with those kind of ideas, I think about what has happened for me. And y'all, that is funny because I have run into some mountain moments, right? Literally some mountain moments. And in the mountain moments, it may not be that the mountain moves, but if I just step back a little bit, if I just maybe I'm looking at this all wrong. Maybe there's something here that I'm not seeing. If I just instead of looking like this, if I widen my vision, I see a path that was created and the mountain isn't even necessary. Going through it that way isn't even necessary. But if you're just looking in this myopic, like if you're just looking through, and because this is what we do, we walk around like this, not even seeing that there are other options available. And so in A Course in Miracles, it says that a miracle is a change in perception. It's not necessarily that that everything around us changes, like all of a sudden, that, there's going to be a hole or that it's going to move, but it's a change in perception where I thought at one moment I needed to have a pulpit to do what I do. And then all of a sudden, as I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself like, do I need that? Do I need to go drive over there, whether only 15 minutes from me, it wasn't even that. Go drive over there, get all fancied up, put on my heels and stand behind a podium to get the message out? Is that the only way? Maybe I'm limiting myself by my thought that I need to do it in this particular way. Maybe, just maybe, right? And so what happens is when we have a shift in perception, when we allow the change to come in, then all of a sudden we see that, man, all that time I was thinking I needed it to be one way. Oh my gosh. I opened up. I got a new vision. I had a miracle. Y'all, you can have a miracle moment. You can have an aha. Oh, you mean I didn't need? Because a lot of times what we think is, oh, I want to start a business. I got to go get a business loan. I got to write a business plan. I got to do this. I got to do that. And we put all these obstacles in our own way. We put them in our own way. Oh, I want to have a baby, but I got to do this and I got to do that. I got to have a husband. I got to go and I got to have this, that. I got that. And then people sitting up there like at menopause time talking about, I always wanted to have. Right? Come on. I mean, free your mind. Free your mind. You are where you are at this point in time where God placed you. You are always in your divine right place. And it is in place that we find ourselves and we're able to move forward from the place we are, rather than sitting up there trying to, I got this. I talk about this friend that I have, who used to have to go all the way back home in order for her to drive any place. Because if she came to pick me up, she would have to go back home because she didn't know how to get downtown from my house. Well, downtown is still in the same direction. All you did was you came from over on Kinsman over to my street. And then if you just head in the same direction, or if you just ask me, it's simple as pie to get from my house downtown without having to go all the way back over to your house just to go downtown because you need to go a particular way so that you don't get lost. Really? So where you are is perfect. Start where you are with what you have. And sometimes I love to talk about simple prayers. God, show me. I don't know. I know this is what I want. I don't know how to do it. Show me how. Right? This is what I got. This is what I'm working with. Show me how. Show me how to get there from here. Right here. Right here. Show me how to get there from here. Right? And then be willing to follow the steps. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. I am I'm looking at this clock, and it's telling me that I'm at my at the hour that I have allocated myself, and I haven't even gotten to this Wheel of Fortune. I mean, I talked about it from my perspective, but not from the perspective of what I opened up. And so maybe I'll pick up with that on Monday. Tomorrow, I'll be here at 1. I'm here at 1, and because tomorrow is Sunday, and I do my church broadcast on tomorrow at 1. So you can join me then. Um, and so I've got some changes that are coming up. Because I got a new class that is that I'm working on and getting formed, and with all this stuff I'm trying to work on, I've got some changes that I am working on, and I am so thankful that that we can pivot together. We can make this work all together, and I appreciate each of y'all for being here and for journeying down this path. Sometimes I feel like we're walking down the yellow brick road together, to the land of Oz, right? Just so we can, I should watch The Wiz. I wonder if that's on one of those things that I have. Because sometimes I just love just to remind myself some of the pivotal stories that impact me and impact my life. And I hope and trust that you guys have something that is like that for you too. So listen to that song, Used to Be. I know. Because I have issues with shutting down. I'm like sitting up there thinking to myself, I haven't even broached this whole thing. But, I really do try to an hour. And sometimes I get caught up in talking way more. Y'all will see my videos that are saying like an hour, 20 minutes, hour, 15 minutes. And really, I want to make it, 15 or 20 minutes, because a lot of times people say that they don't watch because they don't have time to watch. And I'm thinking to myself like, okay, maybe if I just cut off the times at the beginning or at the end when I'm just rattling, maybe. But whatever. We just make it do what it do. And for those that are here, if it's for you, it's for you. And if it's not, it's not. I ain't got no worries, no issues with that. Know that I love you. I'm here for you. I will begin this morning glory talk again on Monday. Tomorrow I'll be here at 1 o'clock. I know am I competing with the Browns? Is that season over with? But anyway, I'll be here at 1 o'clock, rain or shine. Snow or sleet or hail or whatever. I'll be here at 1 o'clock. So, woosah, have an amazing Saturday. Enjoy yourself, whatever that may mean, even if it's just laying up on the couch, right? Enjoy yourself. All right. I adore and love y'all. Thanks for liking me or commenting on here or following me or whatever it is you do. Subscribing, liking, commenting. Yeah, thank you. All right, I'll see you tomorrow or Monday, whichever. I'll see you when I see you. And Lewis, I will not forget. Thanks. All right, y'all. I have... So yes, please subscribe, ring the bell, and so you can get notified when I'm on live. And I will talk to you then. Like me, subscribe, and yeah, and comment.